What is up, guys? My name is Skorge and you're watching Anyone Can Trap, the YouTube and Patreon series designed for absolute beginners and above in FL Studio who want to learn how to make electronic music. The goal of this series is for you to complete an entire trap song from start to finish while learning FL Studio along the way. And remember, if you want access to all of the presets and samples I use in this or any future tutorial, as well as early access to every single episode, all you gotta do is head over to my Patreon right here, or click the link in the description, and for only $2 a month, you can get all of these items and much, much more. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into the next episode. Welcome back, producers. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to use ADSR to fix up our bass a little bit, as well as learn about chord progressions using our scales. So let's come into our pattern 4, come in here to our 3x oscillator. Now this is our bass we made in the previous episode, and if you come over here to the envelope setting and turn this light on, this envelope is now active, and this controls the ADSR, which in this case is attack, decay, sustain, release. There's also delay and hold, which I'll also explain. Delay is very basic. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's how long something takes until it starts playing. So if I press the note, it takes a second for it to come in. So we don't want any delay for our bass. We want it to come in when we press our button. So attack is essentially how quickly the sound fades in after pressing it. So if we have it at about halfway, and I come in here and press it, you can even see up there in the volume bar, it's kind of fading in. It's starting immediately when I press the button, but it kind of fades in. So with the sub bass, you want it to kind of hit immediately, like right away. So you want your attack all the way down. Or you can have it up very slightly, like a couple percentage. And that reason would be so it doesn't clash as much with our kick, like I was talking about before. Remember how we kind of brought down that notch in our EQ of the bass so that the kick would come through more? We can even do that with the attack to have the same kind of outcome. So now you'll notice even with that little bit of attack, if I play this pattern, you don't even really notice the attack, but you can hear that kick a little more clearly. Now hold is basically how long the note will play as you're holding it before it starts to decay. And what I mean by that is you'll notice if it's, we'll put it at about a quarter here. If I play this note, it's already starting to fall out after a second or so. It doesn't hold on strong. So for a sub bass, we would want the hold all the way up, at least in my opinion. This way there is no decay or sustain. It just stays throughout as long as we hold it. Now decay is kind of like the note starting to fade out. That's what happened when my hold was only, let's say, a quarter of the way. It's starting to decay, and then it hits that sustain point, and then it falls after that. So if these are completely down, and then I play this, you'll notice it just drops after a couple seconds, even if I keep holding it. Like I'm still holding it there, and it just completely falls off. So we want these to be up at least a bit, but it won't really matter too much because our hold is all the way. So finally is release, and release is what I wanted to talk about most because that's what is important for a bass. When I turn this envelope off and you play it, you might notice it stops very suddenly, and I don't like that. I want it to kind of release a bit, and that's exactly what the release does. So if we have this up about a little less than halfway, and I play this note again, now we have a really nice release on it, and I like that sound. I'm also going to extend it by 1 beat, because I think that matches the sound we're looking for a little more. So let's go back 2 bars before that and see how it sounds. That sounds a lot better. My computer's up really freaking loud, so I'm going to turn that down a bit. Jesus. So we're already done with that part. Let's move on to our chord progressions. And that's what I like about the later parts of these videos, is that they're going to be a lot more streamlined because we're finally getting past all of the theories and the kind of boring stuff, and we can finally just start making our song. But you're going to have to stick with me for a little bit longer as I go over these progressions. But believe me, now that we've learned scales and everything, it's going to be a lot easier. So we're going to open up another citrus. And you may have also noticed that things look a bit different. That's because they recently updated to 12.4. I believe it was in the middle of November around. And of course they had to do this because it throws off my entire tutorial. Not really though. I wanted to look through it just to make sure that there was nothing that I taught you that they changed or anything like that. And that's probably why this video has taken so long to come out. I do apologize again. They will be on a regular schedule after this, but I just wanted to make sure that nothing was compromised because of anything they changed. So far, everything I've seen is fine. They haven't changed anything besides some aesthetic stuff and different interface things to make it easier, and they added a couple plugins and stuff like that, but they haven't really taken anything out. You may also notice that Citrus looks freaking awesome. I really like it now. The old colors were okay and everything, but it was also just the interface itself was so hard to read. Like, remember when I showed you guys the reverb and all that stuff? Like, the R was so small in that menu, I remember. It was hard for me to even read on my screen. So I'm really glad we have that now. Okay, so I'm just going to drag in my orchestral stab, because spelling things wrong is cool, kids. And this is kind of a violin, cello pluck real quick, like a stab, and you'll find these a lot in trap songs and dubstep songs, and they're really good kind of enhancers for the moment, just a dun, dun, you know. So that's kind of what we're going to do here today. So I want to go up to pattern 5. First, actually, I'm going to copy my scale from pattern 3 into pattern 5 using Control-C and Control-V. Come into the piano roll of my orchestral stab, and remember, if you want this preset, all you got to do is head over to my Patreon, become a patron today. If not, there are plenty of orchestra ensemble stabs and pluck presets out there. Shouldn't have a problem finding one. So looking at our scale, and of course from knowing the key of our song, we're probably going to start with an F sharp note and an F sharp chord. And because of the scale, we know it's going to be an F sharp minor chord. And I'm actually going to bring this down a little bit under it, so let's grab all this, drag it down. Perfect. Come back into our orchestral one. Alright. So, we're going to start on this note. Now, what's cool about knowing our scale is we can now figure out all of the chords in our progression. Literally all of them. And it's just based on triads. And what I mean by that is we go up one note, and then the third note, and then the fifth note. And that's our first chord. That's an F sharp minor chord. I'll show you. So our first note is, of course, F sharp, and then it's A, and then it is C sharp. And now that is an F sharp minor chord. And now we can do that with every single one of these notes, creating those triad chords, and those are all of the chords in the progression we can use. So I'm going to do that really quickly, and then I'll cut forward, and I'll show you what we can do with those. Okay, welcome back. So these are all of the chords that we can use now. So it's an F sharp minor. I believe this is like G sharp diminished, something like that, and then this is it. So these are all of the chords now within this progression that we can use, and all of them will sound right. You know, of course, like I was showing you with the notes before in the scale, some of them might sound a little bit off, but none of them are wrong when it comes to using them. So I'm going to stretch these out a little bit, and we're going to listen to each chord individually. That's cool, right? So now these are literally all of the chords we can use in our progression, and it's that easy to figure it out. I remember when I learned this, it blew my freaking mind, because I was always like, how do you learn chord progressions? Do you have to memorize them? Do you have to... But no, like, if you've ever noticed, when looking up chord progressions, they're usually put into Roman numerals. So it's like I, V, 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 I, all those. And what those are is actually the Roman numerals for each of these chords in the scale. So this is I, this would be I, you know, I, and so on and so forth. And that's how you would figure out. So if it says like 1, 5, 7, that's 1, 5, 7. And that's your chord progression, is these three chords. So for this song, I wanted to kind of descend at every beat, if you remember from hearing it in the first episode. So it's kind of dun, dun, dun. So we're probably going to be moving backwards. So again, you know what? Let's use this as even reference. So let's clone our orchestral stab. You don't have to do this, of course, but I prefer to do it right now. Let's mute the first one and bring in our piano roll. And let's actually delete our FL keys. Boom. So now we have our chord progression. Come into this orchestral stab. Let's start with our F sharp minor chord. And now, like I said, I want to descend. I know F isn't low enough. We're going to be starting from right to left since we'll be descending. And I know F isn't low enough, so I'm going to go straight for the D chord. Let's put it at the first beat here. So D, and then F sharp, A. So let's listen to that. Nice. I like it. So let's keep descending. So now what's next? C sharp, C sharp, and then F and G sharp. So you notice it has kind of that minor chord change, which is really nice, because I believe this is a major chord. This is a major D chord. And then finally I'm going to end it off with the next chord down, which is B. B, and then F sharp. Yeah. We got it. That's what we're looking for. So let's paste that into let's do the 5th bar. And we'll listen to that back as it comes in. Paste another one. Ooh. I really like that chord progression. I think it's very cool. It's very dark, but it also kind of has a light tone to it. So really quickly, let's just add in our snares before I end this video. We're going to add it at the second bar, or I'm sorry, the second beat. And then we're going to add it every 4 beats after that to keep it on tempo. Perfect. So now let's listen back to this one right here. Nice, we're coming a long way with our song. Alright guys, I'm going to have to wrap up this video here, but thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you want all the presets and samples used in this or any future tutorial, as well as early access to every episode, or you just feel like helping me and this channel out, head over to my Patreon at patreon.com/Skorge and just become a patron today for only $2, and all that business is yours. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace!